Welcome to this week's vlog. And you might notice this strap across my chest. If I stand up a little bit, let's see what it belongs to. It's a sling. Why am I wearing a sling, you may ask? And it's an interesting story. Well, perhaps not so interesting, but I'll tell it anyway. Let me see. Monday morning, out for an early morning run, as I usually do. I've done about 12k, getting towards coming back, and for some reason I tripped over a pavement or something and didn't even have time to put my hands out and landed on my shoulder. Quite painful, bruised my knee as well. Anyway, I got up very quickly and stumbled home in a bit of pain. And later in the day, my son-in-law Matt, who's a GP, came round and had a look at me, and he said, well, I think probably be on the safe side, you better get yourself to A&E. So off we went, Sue and I, to A&E. And well, it was an interesting experience, a long-winded experience, altogether 6.5 hours. We had to book in, and then we saw the triage nurse who asked details, and we sat and waited. And then we had to go and have the blood pressure and all that stuff, temperature checks. And then we went to see a doctor who had a quick look, and he said, not sure, don't think it's broken, but we'll better send you for an x-ray. So we went down to the x-ray department, had an x-ray, came back, and well, I think it was about 3.5 hours later, we saw another doctor who said, you've fractured your collarbone, or clavicle, as he put it. So I was given a sling, and he said, tomorrow somebody from the fracture clinic will ring you up, which they did, and invited me to go in the following day. That's Wednesday. In I went, and well, the good news is that I don't have to have an operation. They thought I might have to because it was slightly displaced, but not. So I've been given various instructions. I've got to wear this sling for 3 weeks. I've got some exercises to do, but it's come at a very frustrating time. So there we go. First time I've broken a bone in my body since I was a child, when my leg was broken. So it's frustrating. It's quite painful at times. If I try and move it, it's difficult getting dressed and doing anything with my right arm, really, and that's my writing arm. So what reflections on that? 3 particular Bible passages have come to me on which I reflect. The first one is from Romans chapter 8, which is a very well-known verse, which says this: in all things, God works for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. So I've been pondering, how can God work this for good? Well, I don't know yet. Maybe God will reveal that in due course. Doesn't seem very good, but hey, it could have been a lot worse. The other verse I looked at, or came into mind, was this, when Paul, the Apostle Paul, writing to the Thessalonians, says this, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 18, give thanks in all circumstances. It doesn't say give thanks for all circumstances, so I'm not giving thanks that I broke my collarbone, but the challenge is give thanks in all circumstances, and I am able to give thanks. I give thanks for the National Health Service that have looked after me, treated me. It took a long time, but all the staff were really good and helpful and seemed very caring. So that's a free service we have in the UK, the National Health Service. I give thanks for the NHS and for the dedicated staff. Sue and I arrived about 9 o'clock on the evening, and we left about 4 o'clock in the morning. And all through that time, staff were busy working, seeing to patients, sorting them out. So I give thanks for the staff. Give thanks that I don't have to have an operation, which might have prolonged things. And another thing I give thanks for is that last week I was in a charity shop in town and I saw an exercise bike, which was going relatively cheap. So we bought it. So I've now got an exercise bike. So although I'm not allowed to do any running for the next 6 weeks, I can still try and keep it fit at least to some extent by using my new exercise bike. So there are, when we look at it, in every dire situation, every difficult circumstance, there are things to give thanks for. So give thanks in all circumstances, says St. Paul, and in all things God works for the good to those who love him. So God working even bad things for good. And then finally, I was thinking about St. Paul writing in his letter to the Corinthian church, 1 Corinthians chapter 12, about, he was likening the church as the body of Christ. And he's using the illustration of the human body with its different parts. And he's saying every part is important. And he says also, if one part suffers, every part suffers. And I know that I've only broken a bone in my collarbone, but every part of me is affected by that. And how we as church should care for one another. And if one person's going through a tough time, we should be there for them, caring for them, loving them. So there's just a few reflections. So it's not ideal. It's not what I would have wanted. I've got plans that have been put on hold now because of I'm out of action running wise for 6 weeks. But as I say, it could be a lot worse. And I give thanks to God for the blessings that he gives to me. So that's my thought for the day. And if you come back next week, you'll see how I'm getting on. God bless you. Thank you so much for listening today.